Pilots, welcome back to RC Air Training Command. It's Ryan with the assembly of the Durafly F4U Corsair. It's a nice looking plane, really is. I did some of the homework before I started rolling as far as assembling installing the control horns on all the surfaces. When you get this plane, you're not going to find any instructions on how to or when to install the control horns in the manual. Do it first. They send extra screws too, so you've got a handful of screws. It'd be real easy to mess up and use two short ones. What you got to do is use the long one up in the fat, and then the short one near the trailing edge. I did that from the get-go, had no problems, everything's fine. Yeah, linkages are on loosely, so when I do plug it in, the servos don't get stressed. That way we can start at neutral and not stress the servos. I did have the cowling off. I was curious as to what the motor looked like, and I haven't screwed it back on yet. But I was first off impressed with how solid and sturdy this cowl is, the front hard piece. Even the dummy radial, I mean, I can't budge it. I really can't. It's nice. This is not a GWS cowl. So if and when you ever have to service this or swap it out, as many guys do, you've got ample room to do so. Right here is a 3536 kV is 750 brushless outrunner motor driven by a 2200 3-cell battery. Everybody's got these laying around and it looks super good. So the stock ESC is 35 amp, comes with XT60s. So all the control horns are on. As I said, it wasn't in the manual. Go ahead and get that done first if you get this plane. I'm going to screw the cowl back on. Just two screws. You can't really see them. They're in the 301 decal. I've already bound it. Haven't set it up, so I don't know what's what as far as reversing any kind of channels yet. I'll be flying a Spectrum DX6i radio, the new one with the DSMX protocol, and I'm using, of course, the 6-channel orange receiver from Hobby King on this. So I'm not normally a guy who flies with all the rockets and drop tanks and stuff, but I'm going to set it up this time. I'm going to try it. I'm going to try it this time. You can't get it wrong if you match the panel lines, because there's also discharge ports for what would be 50 cal shells coming out the bottom, that kind of stair step. So you also can follow that and end up in the right place as well. Well, I tell you, we're here at assembly. I've got all my wires here. Channel 5. Start with the short ones. Channel 5. And if you ever encounter one of these that doesn't feel like it fit tight enough, you better take measures to make sure it stays secured. I've used twist ties before, not zip ties, they're too thick, and just kind of lassoed them through and held these connectors together that way. These are fitting just fine. Of course, make sure your polarity is correct, brown to brown, and so on. And you know what's nice is once you do get this together, there's plenty of room for this nest, if you will, to lie in between the wing saddle and fuselage. So of course take special care not to crimp or bind any of these into the union, but there's plenty of room. Shouldn't be hard not to. Keep it nice and neat and everything from getting pinched. Okay, that's that. The leads are run. I know that looks crazy, but that's what it takes to have a cool scale looking aircraft like this. So now what I'll do is take Mr. Barber out of here. That canopy won't be going anywhere, by the way. Go ahead and move some of this stuff out of the way. And Look at that. You can see plenty of room through there. Feeding this mess of wires through should be no problem at all. And once again, another little tip I think that they kind of overlook in the manual is, I believe, hooking all your Ys up to the proper channels is much easier with the wings separate from the fuselage. Some of those leads are short, so getting in there through here is going to be pretty tough. And also, you may not, maybe one of the labels slides down and you can't read it, you don't know exactly what it is. Out here in full open view, I believe is the way to do it. So here we go. And it's easy peasy running them through. I'll take a look here and make sure everything looks good and I'm not pinching anything. Now I got it all in there. What a solid fit. What a solid fit. That's nice. Now the manual will tell you which screws it is that need to be where. So let's take a look. And here we go. 2 long ones in the front. Well, that's quite a reach. See why they gotta be so long. Now, if at all you feel like this screwdriver that's supplied isn't cutting it, it's probably not. Go ahead and grab one of your better ones before you go mauling the tops of these screws, because a lot of times this is working perfect. But I've run into it before where it was really easy to mar the screw heads. You know, you can always tighten more. So nice and snug, sweet, action, satisfaction. Shoeless Joe Jackson. There's the spare. See ya. Same thing with these. If they're not going, back them out, try again. Maybe you got it cross-threaded. Apparently, they've got proper hard points in there to receive these wing bolts, and I'm having no problem at all, which is putting a smile on my face. Just don't want to strip the heads. The screwdriver, so what? But the heads, no thanks. 4 hard points along with a wonderful fit of the saddle, and you're in there like swimwear. Briefly, I'll show you all the room you've got there is quite ample, and the channel that's in the wing that the wires come out of is also echoed up here in the fuse. So if you slide them back up in here, there's no way you can have a wire bound up in between the fit. Like I said earlier, not in the manual, but I just made my job so much easier by plugging in all those connections and Ys before I did the assembly here. I highly recommend doing that, as well as putting on the control horns first. Very neat. Very neat. Alright, it's time to plug it in to the prospective ports on the receiver. We're here, folks. Okay, so as I mentioned, the elevator had a Y. It's a Y, and that's because it's going to receive the 4-way that the lights run off of. So I'll go ahead and get that done now. Once again, making sure the polarity matches. Done deal. Nice fit. Not going to go anywhere on me, I'm confident. For now, I'm going to leave it right there. Dudes, we're like ready to go. Alright, let's fire this up. Ready to go? Check. Now, like I said, I've already bound it, so I'm not going to go through that procedure. It's fairly easy. Throttle all the way down. Of course, the prop is off for safety, which is nice. came off, so that's easy. Fire in the hole. Manual says CG's at 60 millimeters. We'll be checking that. I don't think they tell you whether or not it's upside down or wheels down or not. They just show it from the top. They don't say. Well, let's see these gear. Let's see if I haven't done a thing to the radio. Everything is set at 100%. So I haven't done a thing. There they go. Flaps you will have to set. Alright, so now we basically got a pretty good idea what neutral is going to look like for the radio. Now, I don't suppose that's the way it should be. My orange receiver is blinking, so I tell you what I'm going to do. I may have just shorted it when I was plugging it in. The first time I plugged it in, I had the blinking LED. I didn't like it. I unplugged it, restarted the process, just powering up for the daily flight, and plugged it in. No blinking receiver. Very bright, solid LED. Gosh, this looks awesome. Look how bright these lights are. Got red and green. Got nav lights, got landing lights. The compartment, the battery hatch itself, does its part to hold in the battery. Oh yeah. Clicks in, very nice. Now 60 millimeters, probably about right there. Looks good to me, and that's on the panel lines. I haven't measured that to know exactly if that's 60 millimeters or not. I will, however. Knowing these guys, a 2200 all the way forward is probably the way to go, and it'll be just fine. So CG's really nice. That's no proper spinner on it yet either, so we'll change that. Let's, for giggles, just go ahead and shut the gear and see if that makes a huge effect. Very, very slight at the least. Very, very slight difference in CG. Oh, this looks cool. So I'm going to go ahead and put on the hub, I think. Just kind of pry it apart. It's got a hex at the back, which goes, of course, smartly on the hex on the shaft at a perfect spacing to clear the cowl. This looks nice. This looks nice. Let's just see how tightening the hub down on it goes to kind of compress it over the prop. Very nice. I'm impressed. You know, I gotta be careful saying that because I tell you I like everything that flies. So I'm really impressed with everything. I'll get these linkages hooked up here in control direction in just a moment. Well, now you can get a good look at what these gear look like down. You know, twist and turn mechanism. They sit nice and flush when retracted. Of course, the drop tanks go here. There's that little bridge spanner to compress that wing on. Look how tight the fit is. As I showed you before, the wing saddle. So it wouldn't fit so nicely if there were wires in the way. Corsair is actually, you know, as I mentioned, I've had a lot of them, and a lot of times they can be really kind of wobbly at where they join here. This is a very solid fit. Pilots, here we are with the fully assembled F4U Corsair from Durafly. Thanks for sticking with me through the video. This thing looks really nice. You can see the lights are very, very bright, very cool. Can't believe it. It does assemble very well. I've got the nice rockets and drop tanks. The landing gear work excellently. I'll show you. They fit so nice and flush in there. And they roll like the dickens. Just they're still rolling. Very nice. And then I got the flaps dialed in. That's another thing that I noticed, which is really cool. It's hard to see maybe because of the rockets. Here, let's look at it from the back. Another thing that the manual doesn't mention to you is control throw recommendations. There are none. Well, there's the flaps, and I had to do some tricking on the radio to be able to get that much deflection. Now, that's the max I can get. I like how they operate slowly. Of course, a full-scale Corsair, those panels also work. With the size of this plane and how well it fits together, I'd save that for something else. I wouldn't let that hold you up on this model. Everything else just looks so cool. Exhaust stubs sticking out. What I want you to look at though from the back is the control throw. This is 100% control throw, no expo. This is what it looks like on the outside hole of everything, which as I like to refer to as default. Right rudder, left aileron, right aileron. Back to somebody without any experience. I think if you go trying to fly this plane, once you figure out how to put it together without all the information, and you don't have much experience, and you go trying to fly this plane with this much control throw, you're going to have a hell of a spirited flight and be probably lucky to get the thing back down. You know, it's not like it's crazy 3D throw, but it is definitely more throw than you need on a Warbird model. What I'm going to do is just at a starting point for myself, 70% on all the throws. Sometimes I like to leave rudder where it's at though, see how I go on the ground before I go throttling back on its travel. But yeah, this is way more than you need. And I will probably dial in half flaps too. That's plenty. And on maiden flights, I don't like to go with full flaps anyhow, but I just wanted to see what the max range on the flaps actually was without doing any kind of anything intense. So this is stock and totally cool. Really awesome plane. I like it. I can't wait to fly it. It's nice and solid. You can check out this aerial mast and this little avionics cluster here along the top. That's pretty cool. So down to the arresting hook and the chin scoop and that scale looking prop hub, and goodness, all the adornment there with the arsenal of rocketry and then drop tanks. This thing looks great. Thanks for tuning in. See you next time.